meal. We wanted to welcome you back. We are excited to bring this youth development presentation today. And our speaker, Corky Trewin, and his wife, Chrissy, have resided in Kirkland since 1997. They have 2 children, Jenny and Hunter, and together they own a sports photography and photography printing business where they serve their main clients, the Seahawks, the Sounders, and the Boeing Classic. And for our youth in the audience, the Boeing Classic is the really fun golf tournament up in Snoqualmie. Corky has been a Seahawks team photographer since 1979 and the MLS Sounders photographer since its inception in 2008. Corky is also very active in our local community affairs. He serves on several youth-oriented boards and is president of the Lake Washington High School Diamond Club for the softball and baseball programs. He is also the current high school baseball umpire, as well as refereeing high school basketball and football games. Yeah, that's a lot. I was tired after reading that. He will be taking on an active advisory role for the 2026 FIFA World Cup games that will be hosted in Seattle. So everyone, please welcome Corky Trewin.
Wow. That's it gives me goosebumps just even thinking about when do I have time to sleep. This is probably the most significant moment in my life right now to talk to these students from these 4 high schools. I've always challenged myself that whatever I'm doing right now has the greatest impact not only in my life, but those people who I touch. And I feel that the relationship that I continue to build, I'm 69 years old, and I am not done yet. I've got so many more things to do. And my wife, Chrissy, and I, we have just a great time living here and working here. She's on the board of directors for your Kirkland Chamber of Commerce. She works in downtown Kirkland with Doug, he's right here, Doug Davis at Hallmark Realty. And she's expanding her business opportunity after our children have grown and gone on to take great jobs and graduate from Lake Washington High School and then on through their college careers. So being a dad and Chrissy being a mom, we challenged ourselves to really look at our children, which we have about 20 high school students here that all are exhibiting leadership qualities or have the desire to have leadership qualities. So thinking back when I went to Redmond High School, and thinking back to when I grew up in Redmond, I went to Redmond Elementary, Redmond Junior High, Redmond High School, and I was the firstborn of 6 boys to my mom and dad. Boy, right out of the chute, I was given that opportunity to be a leader. And my dad, through a variety of ways, in the 1950s and 60s, really got after me to be the bow of the boat, to be the leader. And it probably wasn't always the most pleasant way to get after me, but I do reflect that everything that I got to do from my dad's instruction, whether it was harsh or gentle, and then my mom's reinforcement to me to never give up was spectacular. When I was in junior high, I kept getting kicked out of my English class. And Mrs. Jensen, 7th grade, she hated the fact that I was always raising my hand to ask questions. And finally she kicked me out. And the journalism teacher, Mr. Shoup, was across the hall, and he kept seeing me out in the hall. Hey, Trewin, what's going on? Why are you always out in the hall? Mrs. Jensen says I asked too many questions. Uh-oh, the journalism teacher, you're in journalism next year. So just the fact that I was assertive, somewhat aggressive, very adamant to always be questioning how to be a better person. So you students here from our 4 groups in Kirkland, I'll always encourage you, and personally, if you want to visit, I'm in. Be assertive, be adamant, be somewhat aggressive, and if you're too aggressive, just apologize. And then go on to learn from your apology of how to be a better person, of how to develop a better personal relationship within your family, within your friends, within your students, but especially for yourself. Have a great sense of confidence of who you are, and then distribute that to all those circle of friends that you have in your community. And I'm always adding new friends. When I was in high school, I called up the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. That was a newspaper. It was the morning newspaper back in the, since 1920 until it unfortunately disbanded in the early 2000s. But I called up the sports editor. I was a sophomore. And I said, hey, I'm a sports writer for the local newspaper here. I'm a sophomore. I'd like a tour of the Seattle PI. He gives me a tour, and he thanked me for being assertive. So, students, be assertive. Ask the question. On the tour, we get back, Seattle PI, he has a note in his typewriter. Back then, there were typewriters. Hey, John, sorry, Mr. Owen, I have to quit my job as a copy boy. That was the term. He was a junior in college at the University of Washington. I've now been promoted to be the sports editor of the University of Washington daily newspaper. Great. John Gomez. John Owen looks at me, can you type? Well, sure, we'll type this. Bing, 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 bing. Type it out, pull it out of the typewriter, hand it to him. He looks at it. Hey, if you want a job, you start Friday. So now I'm a sophomore in high school replacing a junior in college at the Seattle PI in the sports department. And I worked that job for 4 years. Sophomore, junior, senior, and then a gap year before the Seattle PI helped me get a scholarship in journalism to the University of Kansas. And so I get the University of Kansas on their recommendation. The first day I'm on campus, I decide I need to go meet the chancellor of the University of Kansas. Being assertive, I was adamant to the secretary, I need to visit Archie R. Dykes. Well, why? Well, we're about to become best friends. So having a little sassiness, a little bit of assertiveness, being adamant, I am not leaving until I meet Archie R. Dykes, because I'm a new student here. I meet him, Chancellor Dykes, yes sir, we are going to become best friends. And he looks at me, son, we are not going to become best friends. However, you can become best friends with Delshenko, the assistant chancellor. Go see Delshenko, we become best friends. And I start my Kansas career with the same sense of confidence, with the same sense of adventure that I was as a student at Redmond, and then going forward with the Seattle PI. There's a new adventure, and I'm going to do the same kind of process. I am always looking for a better way to have my life in a personal relationship with the student body at the University of Kansas. I'm still a photographer. I get hired by the daily newspaper as a freshman. I'm the first freshman photographer ever. And then the athletic department hires me as a sophomore to be their team photographer. And I was probably promoting myself. I didn't mind. And then the assistant athletic director puts me under his wing to be his personal photographer to help him recruit players. That was Gail Sayers. And all those who figure, you go look him up, you'll figure it out. But Gail Sayers was our assistant athletic director. And so I traveled with Gail Sayers on recruiting trips, taking pictures of him, shaking hands with the prospective athletes coming to Kansas. Well, all these things are about, I have tremendous confidence in myself. I have a feeling that I want to be involved in everything. Because the day, God darn it, it's 24 hours. And I want to, even when I'm sleeping, I'm probably thinking of what I'm going to do the next day. And I love it. So that all lend itself into my assertiveness. The Seattle Seahawks become a franchise, and I'm going to put this down for a second and undo this. So the NFL awards the city of Seattle a franchise in 1974, and I'm at Kansas, and I feel like I'm going to be lost in the translation. And so I sent a letter to the, this is not going to stay up there. Okay, hold on. There we go. I sent a letter to the general manager in 1974. And I don't get a letter back until 1975. And here, this is the letter that I got back that says Seattle Professional Football. Even though they were named the Seahawks, they're still running letterhead. In 1975, it said Seattle Professional Football. John Thompson, the general manager, says, hey, thank you for your letter, thank you for your interest. At this time, we're not interested in hiring a team photographer right now. We'll keep your letter on file. So that's 75. I graduate from Kansas in 77, and I get back to Seattle, and I take this letter, and I put it on John Thompson's desk when he agrees to see me. Hey, Mr. Thompson, thank you. Here's the letter you sent me 3 years ago. I'm here for my job. And he says, there is no job. And okay, so I continue working. I'm back at the PI and the Savannah Valley News. I go back in 78. Hey, I'm back. Here's my letter again. So this is being assertive. This is being a little bit aggressive, but I'm smiling the whole time. And because of the confidence that I have in my personal relationship skills, and I'm still building it today, right now, to you. He sends me over to Gary Wright. Gary Wright, at the time, was living in Kirkland. He's the PR director. He gives me a 4-game free agent tryout as a photographer in the fall of 1978. Now, the word free was pretty significant then, because I did it for free. Back then, an internship was free. Now they're paid, good for you guys. But back then, you did it to show your worth. And I knew if I could show my worth, I was going to get a job. So they called me back in February, 79. Hey, we have a job for you. You're also going to work for the Norm Evans Seahawk Report. And that magazine for the Seahawks was published in downtown Kirkland, right here. So I'm in Kirkland, the Seahawks are in Kirkland, I'm having a great time. I'm photographer for the Seahawks and the Seahawks Report. Other teams start hiring me because they say, well, we want what the Seahawks have. The Mariners hired me the next year. The Sonics hired me in 1981. Don James, the head coach for the University of Washington, wanted a personal photographer to do what he wanted. He interviewed me and he says, yes, you are my personal football photographer. It just kept building. And during the 1980s, I was the team photographer for every team in the city of Seattle. So much so that Sports Illustrated said, hey, move to LA and work for us. And I'm looking at, why would I want to move to LA when I've got every team in Seattle? And they said, well, you have to shoot in the Kingdom. And it's dark there. Yeah, but when something great happens in the Kingdom, you're going to have to use my picture. And it's going to work. So I knew my place. I didn't have to venture out to have more personal success somewhere else when I was still developing my personal relationship in Seattle, which I love. I love my team, the Seahawks. I love my team, the Sounders. My devotion to them is unparalleled. Just like my devotion to the 20 of you students. Should you want more of my historical perspective and what I'm about to do tomorrow. Because tomorrow is going to be based on everything I did today. So I have a little 3-word. I remember yesterday. I revere today. And I respect about what I'm going to do tomorrow. So it's in 3-day segments. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. And I try to keep that building all the time. Now, could be a couple years out, World Cup soccer. It's going to be the biggest event ever in Seattle. Bigger than the Final Fours that I worked on with Bob Walsh. Bigger than the Goodwill Games in 1990. Again, Bob Walsh, who was one of my clients. This World Cup, if you can't get sassy and smiling about what we're about to do with the 4, 5, or 6 games that we're going to host in Seattle, you can just watch it on TV, but get involved. And getting involved is a wonderful thing. So I encourage the students here and our older population and our executive committees and other opportunities to enjoy what you're doing right now, so it builds to what you're going to do tomorrow. Another thing I brought up here about the personal relationship side, I brought another letter. And as a team photographer, sometimes I have to travel on other flights. So I was in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Green Bay has 2 small airports, one in Appleton and one in Green Bay. And I'm in I was in the Appleton airport, and I'm sitting there waiting for my flight, and it's about 5 hours out, and I have a car, and I hear this family, the mother and husband and wife, and they missed their plane. But the person in Appleton says, well, there's a flight in Green Bay, and it's 2 hours away. And then, well, how are we going to get there? So I had 5 hours. Hey, I took him to the airport. Drove 45 minutes. They happened to be people living in Phoenix, Arizona, going home, but they were at the first Seahawks game in 1976. So they wanted to thank me. Not something I was looking. Here are the 2 tickets from their tickets from the first game in the Seattle Seahawks. And here's the first program they bought. So it's program number 1. So I have goosebumps even holding it up. And so they said, we mentioned that you did the first program in the Seattle Seahawks 1976. It took my wife some time to find it. We have to do some downsizing. And when we found it, we knew it had a new home. We're sending it to you. It was a very nice gesture for you to take us from airport to airport when we really had no other way to get there. Many thanks again. Dell and Evie Rents. So that was 2005. You never know when a personal relationship opportunity is going to be one of the best things you've ever done. So I encourage you to never pass up the moment to become best friends with someone that you're about to be introduced to, and feel that in your heart. We're going to become best friends. And if you have that feeling, the leadership qualities keep being extended to that person and the other people that are becoming in your circle of friends. I got one other little story since the Lee Johnson guys are here. Being a baseball umpire, I started when I was 13, 1967, I was a Little League umpire. I'm umpiring a game in Peter Kirk Park right here. It's a Lee Johnson team, the 16-year-olds. Lee Johnson is at the game. This is about 1982. I'm out of college. He comes down and thanks me for being an umpire. And he says, would you coach my team next year? Oh, God, absolutely. Can I still umpire? Yeah, you can't umpire your own games. Okay, no worries. So I coached the Lee Johnson team the next year, in 1983. And from then on, the personal relationship with Lee Sr., who passed away in the early 2000s, again, one of my best friends. Now, he never gave me a free car or anything like that, but I became a Lee Johnson purchaser of automobiles ever since. And the personal relationship with the business is another leadership quality that I so enjoy. So students, look at your opportunity right now to extend your personal relationship through the confidence that you have right now and the confidence that you're going to build with those personal relationships. As I said at the start, this right now is the most significant thing I can do today for you, is to give you part of my culture, part of my lifestyle, part of my dedication to give you what the Seattle PI gave me in their help of a 16-year-old student who's going to work for the Seattle PI and grow into that job. You guys are 16, 17, 18. I'm the 69-year-old Royal Brome who taught me. We have the same gap in years right now, and we are going to have the same relationship that I got out of those guys at the Seattle PI and my guys at the University of Kansas, friend or no friend, to extend your opportunity to lead your life in a significant way. So right now, if you have any questions that you want to ask in public, please visit right here. She's got a mic for you. Does anybody have a question?
Who wants to be best friends?
Yeah.
Raise your hands.
Anybody have a question? And that's not a problem if you don't, because what's going to happen is you're going to find my email address or my text number, and you're going to visit with me some other way, privately, which is fine, and I will not turn you down, because you're all so significantly important. So it's my pleasure to have been here. All the best to, oh, no?
Oh.
No? Okay, the post was in the way here. Yeah. Any business people, foundation people, Chamber of Commerce people have any questions? Chrissy and I have been married for 25 years.
I already have all the answers.
Okay.
We have a question over here.
Okay. And what's your name, sir?
Hi, I'm Jeremy.
Hi,
I'm
Jeremy.
from Juanita High School.
Good.
Junior. And I was just wondering about your journalism career because I thought that was really awesome. How you had a journalism class in high school.
Right.
And did you really take it in 8th grade, was it?
So I became the first 8th grader ever to be in the 9th grade journalism class at Redmond Junior High, because Mr. Shoup, out the door, said, you're going to be in my class next year. And I said, well, I can't, because it's a 9th grade class. He said, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it.
That's awesome. Also, wondering about your journalism career in general. Is there something that was in your job at the Seattle Post-Intelligencer that led you to become a photographer?
Certainly. So he asked about being a photographer in the Seattle PI. The guys at the Seattle PI knew I was a pretty good writer, but they encouraged me to extend my photography because my writing skills, in their opinion, were only going to go so far. So they gave me great knowledge about who I was. And as I became a better photographer, I did find out that the financial reward was significantly more as a photographer, which gave me the great providence to, at the University of Kansas, not turn down being a staff photographer for the University of Kansas Daily as a freshman, when only juniors were supposed to be there, and then become the team photographer for the athletic department as a sophomore, when no student had ever been the team photographer at the University of Kansas before. So the financial aspect really propelled my journalism career into photojournalism. And so money does matter, there's no question. And I wasn't I wasn't crazy. I went where the money was gonna take me. It's not tremendous money, but I don't need tremendous money to have a great lifestyle with my family, with my city, and with my teams. Okay.
Right here.
Okay? Hi, I'll come over to you. There you are.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Lang. I go to Lake Washington High School.
Good.
And I just think you're very inspiring, like the way you go out and communicate with other people, and like when you were in high school and made those connections. How would you advise other people to do so and make those connections while they're still in high school?
Sure. So your circle of friends are very important to you. In your circle of friends, practice your communication skills of how to be a little more assertive, have fun, and get them and look at their feedback. The way they look at you, the way what they say. I wouldn't get into the social media aspect of that because the visual, the eye contact, one-on-one, 1-on-7, 1-on-52, right here, is so important to your personal development. So I would resist the phone and resist the social media, give your thumbs a break, and get with your friends and ask them that specific question. I saw this guy Corky, he has this, I want some of that. I will meet with you and your friends anytime to help you along the way, just like 70-year-old adults helped me at the Seattle PI when I was a high school student. So it does work. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, my pleasure.
Corky.
But hold on there, we're gonna get the young lady over there.
Please.
Appreciate it. Hi, I'm Sophie, and I was just curious, have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome or the feeling like you don't belong in a space? And if so, how do you kind of overcome that feeling?
So life has adversarial moments every day. And I recognize the adversarial moment that's happened to me. I try to use all the knowledge that I had gained to overcome that moment and then concentrate on what I'm about to do to be a better person, not from that moment, but just to move forward. So the negative aspects, the adversarial aspects of your life are part of yesterday. So yeah, remember it, but then respect and revere. So yeah, okay, that's too bad. Okay, yeah, it hurts. Okay, yeah, but I'm moving on. And you have your best friends, and again, the personal relationship of your best friends, and maybe not the social media aspect of your best friends, are your greatest ally and foundation to getting over yesterday and moving on to today and tomorrow. So I encourage you to have a circle of friends that you sit in a round table, a square table, it doesn't matter, have coffee, whatever it is, and talk about the things where they can look you in the eye. And it's that relationship and the confidence that you have to know that I can look someone in the eye when I'm not feeling great and it didn't work out well for me. But I'm gonna look in the eye and I'm gonna be better right now. And you and I, best friends, are gonna move on to tomorrow. It's a very altruistic, out in the blue sky kind of answer, but the personal relationship, and that's what I talked about at the start of this, the personal relationship that you have with your classmates, with your family, with your friends, is your greatest asset to overcoming any adversarial moment and moving on, because they do love you. And should you and I get together, we're gonna talk about whatever the situation is that you want to visit about and give you a very heartfelt feeling of how to move on tomorrow and not go back and say, oh man, this is that and this is that, and bemoan the fact and be harsh on what just happened, because it's gonna happen again tomorrow. I'll give you a little, as a sports official, as a photographer, every play is the greatest opportunity to be successful. And when players say, hey, did you get that picture? Yeah, I missed it, but I'm gonna get the next one, because the next play, something is liable to happen. That'll be a photograph that I'm gonna capture in my camera that I've never seen before. It happens I've been doing this now for 50 years. It still happens. As a sports official, you throw the flag, you make the call. 50% of the people aren't gonna like it. But you move on because the game keeps going. And my players, whether they like it or not, are my best friends. I don't worry about the people in the crowd. So that's the same thing maybe with social media. The people you have contact with, they're the ones that you won't rely on. The social media people, the noise, let that go. Okay, does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, you bet.
Corky, did you take photography classes?
I did.
You taught yourself? Or?
I did. I had a Vietnam vet when I was in 8th grade, who I became a photographer at the Sammamish Valley News in Redmond, and he kind of saw that I was going to be a better photographer than a writer, even though I was a self-appointed. Now I'm in 9th grade at the time. I'm the self-appointed sports editor of a weekly newspaper in the city of Redmond, because I told the publisher, hey, you don't have a sports editor, how about if I take on that job? And he paid me $3 a story. And I took that job. And again, the relationship just, so being a sports photographer, I'm still learning how to be a sports photographer. Because I look at all the magazines, the pictures, every picture is an opportunity to learn. Just like everything you do in school, either you're walking down the hallway, you're high-fiving your friends, you're going into biology, you're going into civics class. Take that opportunity to keep learning. I'm 69 and I am not done learning. And learning from you guys right now, I have goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah.
Do you journal?
Do I journal?
Yeah.
I journal in a very odd kind of way. I take notes. Chrissy bought me a online procedure called Storyworth, where I'm supposed to answer the question, hey, what was your first car? How'd you do this? And it is important. My photographs, I have millions of pictures. That's my journal. And as I get to a retirement after the World Cup, I'm gonna sort all those millions. And I'm doing it right now, but it's an ongoing process. So yes, journal in your own way. Figure that out. You'll love your history. Take pictures of your all the selfies. Keep all those. Don't let the cloud evaporate them. Keep those, because that's personal history. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kevin Hansen, and my question follows with Doug's question about the journaling. So who owns the photos that you've taken, and then can we expect when you finish your journal, can we expect a book with the historical photos of all the teams in Seattle?
Sure. So the teams and I have 50% ownership. They can do whatever they want with the pictures. Obviously, it's their pictures. I can do what I want with their permission. And they generally give me permission. So posters and books, I just finished a book for some guys at the Seahawks, and it took hours to put it together. And they're all put together, and it's being published right now. It's only for them, so there's not 100,000 copies, there's 24 copies. But it still is something that they're gonna want. Yes, there will be a book somewhere. I have many people that want to be part of that book publishing opportunity. My wife is probably my #1 asset to all that. And we had a discussion about all the slides and negatives that sit in racks right now. And how are we gonna take care of that and do that? And yeah, as she works her real estate, I'm gonna be working the pictures and all the different aspects of all that. So thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Fenn Clevin, and I'm from Lake Washington High School. And I was wondering if I want to make the personal connections that you made, what's my first step, and what's the difference between my journey and then your journey? Because there's a time difference, I'd say.
So the journey and the time, your time, is so significant right now. And you had mentioned something about business. To me, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos live here in Seattle. I go up and say, hey, Bill, I want to be best friends. I would make, you're smiling, good. Or Todd Johnson. Or the president of Google right up here in Kirkland Urban. Or Penny Sweet, the mayor. Give yourself the opportunity to introduce yourself to someone that you might be just a little nervous about, but being somewhat assertive and being adamant that you want to get their information. So when you are adamant, when you say, Corky, I want to talk, I'm going to be there. Those older adults who have a great journey and have confidence about who they are, that's the person you want to be around. Extend yourself to those people that you have no idea how to get a hold of them, but you start, okay, maybe if I call the Gates Foundation, I can say, hey, I'm a fan of Lake Washington High School. I'd love to have a visit with Bill Gates and talk about his trip to India. He's just been in India. Following those guys. So your personal journey is tomorrow, or as soon as you get out of this luncheon, who am I going to ring up and say, I'm Fenn, I'm a junior at Lake Washington High School, and I'm interested in this, and you are going to have the opportunity to help me. So you put it on them. With that kind of phraseology, they're not going to deny you. Which is why, even though Archie R. Dykes said, you're not going to become my best friend, but go see Del Shackle, he acknowledged my personality. And then he gave me an avenue to extend myself to the assistant chancellor. And it was spectacular. For the next 4 years, I was in his office. He and I played fast pitch softball together on a club fast pitch team. We had the greatest of times. Man, just thinking about it gives me shivers. Yeah, another one?
Hello.
Hi there, stand up please.
Okay. I'm Adriel, and I'm a sophomore from International Community School. I actually your speech is actually pretty relatable because I find myself to be a very assertive person, especially in my mock trial club. I remember, this is a little story, but I remember that there was an elected official, Judge Finkel, who would come in and coach our team. And I remember I was the only one asking questions, and he was like, "Oh, you're a very talkative fellow." So I remember my team members were like, "Maybe you need to tone it down a little bit." But basically, I remember I've always wanted to do this type of profession, which was legal field. And I remember when I was doing the mock trial competition, I came in with a really big ambition, but then when I was in court, I kind of froze, and it was my closing speech, and I just like froze, and then after that, I was so down on myself, and I was like, am I really this big person that I really like made myself to be? Because I kind of like gaslighted myself into thinking I was like I could really like do this, and I was like, I remember when I was auditioning for my mock trial team, and everyone was like scared and how aggressive I was, but then I went into the competition and I was so quiet and I just froze, and it was like the most humiliating moment. So I was like wondering if you ever had experiences like that, and did it let you down or something?
When you put yourself in a situation where you have to extend your personality, you extend your confidence, you extend your culture, yes, it is scary. There's no question. And there have been moments where I'm afraid refereeing a championship game. I don't want to screw up. And I have to make the call. Being a photographer in the Super Bowl. I went to 16 Super Bowls. And then the league hires me to run the photographer's sidelines. That's scary. Because here's Paul Tagliabue, the commissioner of the NFL, saying, Corky, we like what you do as a photographer, but we really want you to be our photographer liaison to all the photographers at the Super Bowl. And I said, absolutely, yeah. And I mean, what the heck am I going to do? So, yes, the little frozen moments do happen in any situation. But I don't think you're talkative, I think you're assertive. And so when someone says talkative, correct them.
Okay.
No, I'm just assertive. I'm just passionate about what I'm doing. Don't let someone, if that's what it is, belittle you with a condescending comment without your sassiness coming back and say, no, I am not talkative, I am assertive. And I love it. And have goosebumps when you say that. So what year are you in school?
I'm a sophomore.
Okay.
I'm
and
turning 16 next week.
good for you. So you're gonna be driving pretty quick. Okay, here we go. Get into your debate class.
Oh, we don't have a debate.
Make a debate class.
Okay.
So you see, the negative, we don't have one, and the positive, make one.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. And debate a topic. Oh man, I'll come photograph your first debate class. What school are you in?
International Community School.
And how many students are there?
430.
And how many are in your class? About?
About 30 something. 39.
Okay, so there's more than that, because if there's 430, is that 6 years, 4 years?
Yes,
Whatever.
but I would love for you to photo our mock trial competition.
I'm there.
Yeah, okay.
You come find me and I'll be there. So
Okay.
you get that debate class going.
Okay, I will do that if you photo our mock trial.
That's a deal. We just became best friends. See how that works? Great job of standing up, smiling, telling how nervous you are about some things. So that's part of showing your confidence, that I can say, I'm nervous, I was scared, but I'm still gonna stand up and show everybody that I have the desire to be exceptional. So Samantha's standing up, which means that we're out of time. But if you go through Samantha, she will get you my email address. So that's part of your duty. There's a little process here. Get with Samantha, she'll get, and then you're gonna email me, and in the subject line, you're gonna put Lake Washington, let's see, Kirkland Chamber student, whatever this is called. So then I know who you are. And then we'll start an email, and then we'll figure out how to become even more personally connected. Hey, everybody, it's all the best. Parents, civic leaders, thank you for having this and encouraging these young men and women to show up in this environment so that we can keep giving them a great opportunity to be successful, because they've got 80 more years of this. And it's going to be spectacular. I'm looking forward to seeing how you all do what you do for the city of Kirkland. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corky. I feel like that was a slam dunk, touchdown, goal, home run of a presentation.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you to all of you for being here today. One more round of applause for Lee Johnson. Corky's right. Don't be afraid to be assertive. I've taken all of my interns from people coming in my door saying, how can I help? How can we volunteer? How can we contribute? We've had high school people contribute just little pieces of writing to our website, and that's something that you can put on your resume. You can say that you did some work for the Kirkland Chamber of Commerce, starts your career. So don't be afraid to just reach for your dreams and do what you want to do. So thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you all again.